The Comanche, popularly known as the Lords of the Plains, is a legendary native Indian tribe who lived in the Great Plains before being relocated to their current domicile. The Comanche are a linguistic stock of the Eastern Shoshone people. During the 17th century, they separated from the Shoshone and migrated to the southeastern part of the Great Plains. The Comanche ruled the Great Plains between the 18th and 19th centuries. Their land, which they shared with their allies, the Wichita and the Koiwa-Apache, were known as the Comancheria. Their great power and dominance was as a result of their adroit diplomacy, trade, and horses. They were also notorious for raiding other tribes, especially the Mexicans. In this Liber-Tea episode, we will be discussing the rise and fall of one of America's most formidable native tribes, the Comanche. The Comanche referred to themselves as the Nemina, or the Numinu, meaning people. The name derives from the Ute word Comanche, which means those who want to fight us. The Spanish referred to them as the Camino Ancho, which means wide trail. The Comanche had close ties with the Eastern Shoshone. Historians predict that they split during the 16th century and moved southwards. They may have settled in the Great Plain due to the increased bison population and wet climate conditions. The Comanche were a nomadic hunter-gatherer society which traversed the Great Plains in search of bison and deer. It was not until the 1680s that the Comanche acquired horses from their Utuan neighbors. This acquisition transformed the lifestyle of the Comanche tremendously. By the mid-1700s, the Comanche had established themselves as master equestrians. All their men, women, and children could ride horses perfectly. They also became skilled horse breeders and trainers. Horses simplified hunting, and over the next century, the Comanche obtained more horses than any neighboring tribe. Comanche warriors owned hundreds of horses. Prominent members of their society could own thousands of horses. Horses revolutionized the way the Comanche engaged in warfare. As skilled riders, Comanche warriors could fire arrows from beneath their horses at full gallop. With time, the Comanche acquired a ferocious reputation. Despite having guns, armor, and advanced tactics, the Comanche stopped the Spanish from invading the north. They also stopped the French, who were coming from Louisiana. The Comanche were extremely warlike people. Generally, after defeating their enemy, it was customary for them to murder all the adult males. They did this not just to the Europeans, but to fellow natives. Women were either taken into captivity, raped, or killed. The Comanche did not even spare children, who they either killed or enslaved. The Comanche was a living nightmare. Apart from killing, raping, and enslaving their victims, they subjected people to horrific torture. The Comanche's grisly practices even scared the Europeans. Any attempts to deny that native Indians were warlike are defeated by the atrocities the Comanche committed. The Comanche chased everyone from the southern Great Plains, and in doing so, they almost annihilated the Apache tribe. Looking back in history, the Comanche are comparable to the Vikings, Celts, and the Goths. In 1805, Governor James Wilkinson of Louisiana stated that the Comanche was the most powerful tribe among the natives. As this was being said, the Comanche controlled over 200,000 square miles of the Great Plains. Their large herds of horses were a steady source of income, and the near-abundant herds of bison sustained them. During the early 1780s, the Comanche were devastated by smallpox epidemics. The recurrence of this European pandemic would continue to reduce their numbers over the years. In 1790, the Comanche adopted new members into their society, bolstering their numbers once again. The Koiwa-Apache and Kiowa had joined the Comanche as allies. The Comanche had also entered into a peace agreement with the Spanish. The agreement upheld a delicate balance between antagonism and accommodation. The Spanish frequently gave the Comanche gifts for their hospitality. After the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, The French left, never to experience the hostilities of the Comanche again. After the Louisiana Purchase, the U.S. government started forcing the natives to relocate west of the Mississippi River. The tribes that relocated began competing with the Comanche for a share of the bison herds. Subsequent settlers came uncomfortably close to the Comancheria borders. When Mexico gained control of present-day Texas in 1821, Mexican settlers relocated to Texas and occupied more of the Comancheria. The Comanche were outraged by this intrusion. They often killed settlers and took captives. In 1830, the U.S. government tried to negotiate with the Comanche to move some natives into some parts of Comanche territory, but it could not find the tribe's representatives. In 1835, Texas freed itself from Mexican rule. This caused an influx of American settlers into the region. The Comanche constantly raided the new settlers, and Texas Rangers often engaged the Comanche in skirmishes. The relationship between the Comanche and Texas Rangers soured more when the latter tried to capture Comanche leaders who had come to negotiate. During the skirmish, over 35 Comanche were killed and many others sustained injuries. The number of American settlers increased in Texas when gold was discovered there. The settlers brought diseases to the Comanche and interrupted the movement of bison, which the Comanche relied on for sustenance. From 1865 to 1875, the great slaughter of the plains buffalo occurred. Within the 2 years, the population of the buffalo fell from 15 million to less than 1 million buffalo. This was disastrous to the native Indians and caused great panic among the Comanche and their allies. Angered by this turn of events, the Comanche and the Cheyenne formed a war party and attacked buffalo hunters. For more than 150 years, the Comanche challenged the right of European settlers to occupy the southern region of the Great Plains. The conflict between the Comanche and the Europeans escalated when Texas became part of the U.S. The influx of Anglo-American settlers forced the Comanche into an even smaller part of their territory. However, by the 1870s, the Comanche had been weakened severely by decades of war and epidemics. Unable to engage in armed conflict in 1875, the Comanche chief Quanah Parker laid down his arms and led his people to a native Indian reservation in Oklahoma. Thank you for joining us in this episode where we have looked into the history of one of the most legendary Native American tribes, the Comanche. We hope you have enjoyed the episode and learned something new in the process. Like, share, and subscribe to the Liber-Tea channel for more episodes on Native American history. You can also leave your comments on the topic in the comment section below.